All right, as we continue along here, I want to welcome to the show the executive director of the New Jersey Republican State Committee, Kate Gibbs. I've known Kate for a long time. She's new to the job because there's a new chairman, because there's a new Republican nominee for governor, Jack Ciattarelli. And Kate, congratulations. It's the first chance I've had to actually officially congratulate you on your new position. So well done.
Well, thank you so much. Glad to be here and be part of the team that's going to get Jack Ciattarelli elected our next governor and bring as many down-ballot Republicans with us as possible.
Absolutely. And you yourself have a great experience in New Jersey politics, so you're definitely the right person for the job, no doubt about that. For those that don't know, just because, you know, I've been so involved in New Jersey politics for so long, I sometimes forget things. That not everybody knows as much as we do in terms of this because they have lives. The New Jersey State Party, the job that it does is different from the campaign. So what is the role of the state committee right now as we get ready for the general election?
So after the primary, the party can really act as the infrastructure to support the campaign. And in a gubernatorial year, that means we can run what's called a coordinated campaign. And the job of state party is very simple. We are laser focused on, as I said, getting Jack Ciattarelli elected and bringing all of the down ballot candidates with us. And that means the get out the vote operation and the protect the vote operation. So those are the two things that we're really focused on right now. The ground game, which is the get out the vote operation, and protect the vote, which revolves around a lot of election integrity efforts that we've been working on in partnership with the RNC.
The election integrity is important. That was something that we had to deal with in Pennsylvania last year with President Trump. And the RNC did a great job working with all of us on convincing people this election would be secure. And that went a long way, I think, towards the turnout. Now we're dealing with a couple things in Jersey. Obviously, Jack Ciattarelli has got the momentum, no doubt about it. Jack's got the momentum. He's got the energy behind him, and the polls all show that this race is a dead heat. So it's going to come out to turnout. So knowing that the election is going to be secure goes a long way towards convincing people that they should go out. Knowing that Jack has a really good chance of winning this race has a long way towards getting people to go out. But then they hear stories like what's happening in Passaic County, New Jersey, and they turn around and they say, the Dems are trying to do it again. So Kate Gibbs, give us an overview of what they're trying to do in Passaic County, New Jersey.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I want to let everyone know that the RNC has been incredibly invested here in New Jersey and is working directly hand in hand with the NJGOP on all these election integrity efforts. And we've been on the case for months. So this isn't something that we're just stirring up in the final 2 weeks of the election. We've been working on this to make sure that every New Jerseyan can feel like they're getting a safe and fair election, that there's transparency, and that we can rely on the outcome. So want to make sure that everybody knows the best way to ensure victory is to get out and vote, and we're taking care of the rest. But what's happening in Passaic County—
yes, I agree with you, by the way. That's our part. Your part listening is to get out and vote, and then let the professionals handle all the other things. So don't worry about anything. Just do your part. Your part is vote. Okay, sorry, Kate. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, perfect. That's exactly right. We're fighting for you. We need you all to join the fight by getting out to vote. What's happening in Passaic County is we have every board of elections has a bipartisan board. There are Republican and Democrat appointees. Our two Republican Board of Elections commissioners have been really concerned about the lack of security measures around how vote by mail ballots are stored in between when they start being returned and when they're counted. And so they had insisted over the past few weeks and months that they wanted to see some of these very basic, very common sense security measures put in place. These are things that are commonplace, that every county in New Jersey by law has discretion for how these things are handled, but every county does some combination of security measures to make sure that these ballots are secure. Passaic has no security measures in place, which include security cameras on the ballot storage room, bipartisan locks, where in some counties you need a Democrat key and a Republican key turned at the same time to enter the ballot storage room. That way you always have bipartisan representation when people are in that ballot room. Some counties have log books. Some have security, like sheriff's officers who are security. So each county does a different mix of these different measures. Our Board of Elections commissioners in Passaic were simply asking that they implement some of these common sense transparency measures so that people can feel secure, especially with the storied past in Passaic County, and not just recently, but going back a ways. But we still haven't. In 2020 and 2021, there were There were issues there. Passaic is always one of the last counties to certify. And there's actually existing indictments that still haven't been fully adjudicated. And so since the Attorney General has failed to do what they need to do, the first line of defense are those Republican Board of Elections commissioners. They put the request on the agenda. And on Friday, October 17th, there was a meeting of the Board of Elections. The Republicans had asked for these measures. The 2 Democrat commissioners voted no. The 2 Republicans voted yes. And unfortunately, in a Board of Elections vote, if there's a tie, no action is taken, meaning these measures won't be put in place. The other thing they voted down is following the 2020 and 2021 delays in certifying elections, the New Jersey legislature actually passed a bill to allow for 5 days before the election of pre-processing the ballots. That gives the Board of Elections those days to get a jump start on processing the ballots, and then they get counted on election day. Passaic County was the poster child of counties as to why this legislation was passed. And despite that, they're one of the only counties in our state that doesn't take advantage of these 5 days. So when you add in the fact that they don't want to take advantage of these early processing, they don't want to have any security measures on the vote by mail storage, and you add in the fact that the chairman of the Board of Elections in Passaic County is the Democrat Passaic County Chairman,
Insane.
John Curry, it starts to paint a picture, right? And so we want to make sure, again, the first line of defense is the Board of Elections commissioners, and they did really good work bringing this to light and demanding that this was on the agenda. But now that no action is being taken, NJGOP wants to back up the Passaic County Republican chairman in pursuing every legal option to make sure that we can get some sort of safeguards here. And so this morning, what the NJGOP has done is make a formal request to the Department of Justice, Division of Civil Rights, to send federal monitors, not only on election day, but to provide surveillance for these ballots in between now and the election so that we can be sure that nothing is happening. And again, these are commonplace, common sense measures that every other county in the state is employing.
Kate, isn't it amazing? I mean, it's not amazing, it's Jersey, but that the Democrat Party chair is also the chair of the Board of Elections of Passaic County. I mean, you talk about a conflict of interest right there.
Yeah, especially again with that storied past of having problems, you would think that this shouldn't be a partisan issue, right?
Right.
Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you should say transparency in our elections is a good thing. Being able to have true faith and confidence in our elections is a good thing. This shouldn't be partisan. But the fact that they're blocking these very common sense measures, and you couple that with the partisanship, it starts to paint a picture.
Kate Gibbs is with me. She is the executive director of the New Jersey State Republican Committee. It's great to have her on the show for her first time as executive director of the NJGOP. Now, Kate, let me ask you this question too, because I think a lot of people listening right now believe that Jack has the momentum going into this. I believe that. I absolutely 100% do. When you're looking at New Jersey and you're looking at the whole state, all the way from north to south and in between, where are the issues or the places, I should say, that you're worried about generating that kind of turnout? And what do we have to do to ensure that the Republican turnout is there?
So the NJGOP has been focused on the ground game for months now. We are in the midst of the largest, most ambitious, most aggressive ground game that this state has ever seen. That includes knocking on 1 million doors, making millions of volunteer phone calls, and not only telling people, that there is an election this year, because as you said earlier, for people like you and I who live and breathe this stuff, we can't imagine that people don't realize that there's an election this year. But as you know, New Jersey and Virginia are only 2 states that have gubernatorial races this year. And so the national news really has been focused on the midterms next year. We found that 1 in 4 of our targets didn't realize this summer that there was an election this year. They were saying the state's on the wrong track. I want to vote for change. I want to vote for a new governor. But when we asked them, when's the election, they couldn't tell us that it was this year. And that's why we've been so focused on ensuring that voter education and get out the vote are working hand in hand, because you need to do both, not only telling people that there is an election and that you have an opportunity to make a change, but also how you can vote. There's 3 ways now in New Jersey. You can vote by mail, you can vote early in person, and you can vote on election day. And early voting in person is a huge opportunity for Republicans because it lets us bank votes ahead of election day, but it's in a form that our people feel more comfortable with, which is being able to vote in a way that's much more similar to how they're used to, in person, at a polling location, at a machine. And you can get that done ahead of time. You never know what's going to happen on election day. Your tire blows out, your kid is sick.
Yep.
We want to make sure that we're banking those votes so that we don't wake up on November 5th and say, oh, I really wish I made it to the polls.
Yeah, look, you're 100% right about that. I did early in-person voting last year. And again, it was uncomfortable for me because I had never done it before, but I'm glad I did because on election day, I was, in Pittsburgh covering the race. So I wouldn't have been able to vote in person on election day anyway. And that was kind of a last minute thing. Senator McCormick invited me to come cover election night out there, and I did. And so I'm glad I banked that vote because you just never know what's going to happen. The other reason, too, it's important to bank the votes early is because then it frees up resources on your end to be able to go after the voters who have not yet voted. So that's another way that you're helping and doing your part, because then if we know we've banked your vote, then we can move on to somebody else.
It's a really good point. And if you're sick of getting, phone calls and text messages and door knocks, the best way to avoid that is to get your vote in. If you return your vote by mail ballot or you vote early in person, you get removed from our list because we've already done our job. So anybody who wants to have those stop, the best way is to bank your vote.
Kate, are you happy with the rate of return of mail-in ballots by Republicans who requested those ballots?
I always want to see more, but I have to say I'm very encouraged so far by the returns. I think you can see the momentum that we're feeling out in the field. When Jack and all of our legislative candidates, our county candidates, when we're going to events around the state, there is tremendous energy and enthusiasm that you try to manufacture every year when you're on a campaign, but some years it's just electric in the air and you can feel it. So to see that, reflected in the vote by mail return so far is really exciting. And it's interesting to see that we're getting better return rates from our mid and lower propensity voters, which is great because that means that folks that otherwise normally wouldn't participate are saying, you know what, I've had enough and I'm ready for a change and I'm going to get my vote by mail ballot in.
Good. That's really great news. And I also like the fact that Jack has coattails. I mean, in 2021, he was able to flip, I think it was 9 assembly seats. He's got the ability to do that this time around too. And if we can do that, if we can flip those assembly seats, we can win back the majority in at least one of the houses, which makes his life a lot easier if he's governor. So that's also important. So you have to make sure you vote Republican down the whole ballot. And you pointed out too, Kate, there's going to be there's county races on the ballot. I think it's important for everyone to just, vote Republican this time. If you want change, that's how to do it. Because if you want change, then you gotta want change. I mean, if you want it and you say you want it, well, then change the party that's been running the show for the last 8 years. I mean, we've had 2 consecutive administrations of Democrats, Phil Murphy, and we've had the Democrats running the legislature now for 2 decades. So if you want change, then actually vote for it.
Almost 25 years, Rich.
Yeah.
They've had full control of the legislature for 25 years. 8 of these years have been, one party rule. And we've seen what happens, right? And it's created the mess that we have here in New Jersey where it's unaffordable. Our electricity rates are going through the roof because of all of these crazy green mandates. And Mikey Sherrill and every one of the Democratic Assembly members on the ballot this year were rubber stamps for every one of these policy failures that made your property taxes go through the roof, made your electric bills skyrocket, made our streets unsafe. I mean, we hear over and over again that people want to change, and yet election year after election year, things stay the same. If you want change, you got to vote for change. And that means every single election cycle. And this year is so important to get out and vote. Give us that Republican Assembly to help Jack Ciattarelli get his agenda accomplished.
Good. Excellent stuff. Kate, if people want to get involved and help out and volunteer, what's the best way to reach out?
So the best way is to go to our website, njgop.org/volunteer, or just go to the main page and navigate to the volunteer. If you fill out that form, it goes immediately to our team. We dispatch every single volunteer that comes through the website to one of our field directors. NJGOP has a field director in every single county who's there to make sure that volunteers get plugged into the operation, whether that's door knocking, phone banking. So it really is the best way.
Great. Kate, listen, I appreciate your time. You're doing a great job. Give my best to Chairman Paulson and everyone over at the NJGOP. And thanks for staying on top of this for Passaic County and requesting the federal monitors. And I'm sure that we will be able to get that done. This is a very, very important issue. So keep up the great work. Kate Gibbs, NJGOP, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Rich.